fantastic songs. Grace will always be greater than the sin, and of course, God's love is the best we can always ask for. While we wait for the next session to commence as soon as possible, one of the things we want to do now is to have some sort of a reflection on what we have heard so far. Of course, this session started yesterday. For those who were around yesterday, you must have learned one or two things. And since today, we have also continued this session. And just to make sure that we all are on the same page, and also to harvest some contributions from what we have learned. Of course, we understand things differently. So, I know that there are some of the sessions that we've had that you didn't have the time to express yourself. You didn't have the time to ask the question you wanted to ask. You didn't have the time to make the comment you wanted to make. But it's a moment for us to have a reflection on what we have heard, learned, understood so far. So the mic is free. This is time to talk about some of the things we have learned so far. Or perhaps you have one or two contributions from the wealth of experience that you want to share with us. This is an opportunity to do that before we go into the next session. Thank you very much. Do I have people who want to make comments? Have people want to ask questions, please? Questions, comments, basically reflection of what you have grasped so far. Yes, the floor is open. The floor is open. Anyone who wants to chip in one or two things? Time for reflection. What have we learned so far? Yes, is there anyone who wants to say something? Anyone? We have people here. You want to say something? What have you learned so far? I'm sure we have learned a lot. Yes, it is an opportunity for us to speak up. What have we learned so far? Yes, Uncle Sam, are you raising your hand? You can share with us what you have learned so far so that we can also hear from you. Yes, let's take comments, please. Yes, I can see people raising their hands, but I can't see them. It's a time for reflection. Well, one of the things I learned early this morning when we began to talk was the fact that we need to strive, we need to make sure that we are not prayer points for our partners. And by partners, there we mean the person we happen to be in courtship with, or the person we happen to be dating, or the person who you are by God's grace married to. You need to make sure that you are not a prayer point, okay, but rather you are a prayer partner. And that is very fundamental. That was one of the lessons I picked when we spoke in the morning. I think something else that I also picked in the morning is the fact that children are also looking up to their parents. They are watching them. So the actions or inactions of the parents would go a long way to influence, okay, or to determine the type of homes that those children will have. And that is why it is very important, it's necessary that people should behave or act in such a way that their children will want to emulate eventually when they have their homes. So there are many other points, many other things that we learned today. I just want to take a few of those from the conclusion and before moving to the next session. Yes, anyone please? I think I've mentioned two. Floor is open. Floor is open. Floor is open. No one. Doesn't mean we've not learned anything. Will I be right to say we've not learned anything since the summit started? Will I be right? Will I be correct to say we haven't learned anything? People are not even answering you. Are we tired? We can't be tired. We have 2 more sessions to go. So Ezra, let's give Sam mic to say something to us. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Okay. I think the part that talks of ladies and gentlemen or this is the part that last 4 questions about your parents helping, guiding you in your relationship. Some people people are looking at their faces we are not smiling, during that time. But it's very, very necessary, because just as they have rightly said, they have gone ahead of us, and they are here before us. And for those of us that are just calling off being the younger ones in marriage, you will find out that try to find out, you will find out that those things that we are trying to, correct. Okay, just like Samson and Delilah, don't go to Philistine. Why? And you don't want to listen for any reason. You just want to go there and have a taste of it, like time you come back, then destroy it. So it's very, very good for you to listen. But at the same time, I think as if your parents do not have the light that you have right now, I wonder how their advice or how they will be able to guide you to make the right choice. So it's a path that we need to be very, very careful while they are instructing us what to do or the steps to make. We also pray and we also apply what you have studied these days in order to make the right decision. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We're grateful. Please let's pass the mic to Mommy Pearl. She has something to say. But in the meantime, I also want to inform us, because people seem to be distracted. I think we should have one house so that we don't look divided. Okay, please let's try and settle down and have one house. In the same vein, we are not done. Please can we have one house, please? The same thing, we are not done. We have 2 more sessions to go. One will be holding in a couple of minutes time, and the last one will be during the evening worship. So because of those who are going out, we are not done. This is supposed to be a day program. So let's sit back, relax, so that we can gain more knowledge. Also, the book Pastor talked about has been sent to the Heritage Group platform. That is Act of Marriage. So if you don't have, if you are not in that WhatsApp group, okay, you can drop your contact and we can add you to the WhatsApp group so that you can also benefit from the conversations and the documents that are being sent there. Mommy, help us with that. Thank you.
Please, I would like you to expatiate more on being the prayer point. Because I know that prayer point will say, oh, my husband is traveling, let us put him in prayer. It's a prayer point. My husband will be defending his PhD tomorrow. Let us pray so that he will be successful. It's a prayer point. So what do you mean that we should not be a prayer point, but a prayer partner? Because most of us, we don't understand that one. And secondly, you see, everything everybody has said, they are very good, perfect. But I want to tell us that in all this perfection, let's not forget to create room for uncertainty. Create room for uncertainty, because the devil is not asleep. Yes, he will plan very hard. In fact, when I get married, my home will be better than ever. You can plan whatever you want to plan, but make room for uncertainty. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Make room for uncertainties. Thank you very much. I think earlier, first question you asked, I don't know if you were around when we had that session when it was discussed. I will try and respond to the best of my knowledge and understanding when that was mentioned earlier. I think the person who said that was Shepherdess Dixon. And the point she was trying to underscore is the fact that you want a perfect partner, you want a good partner. You should also make sure that you are a good partner to the person. Okay, you can't be asking for something good, but you have not also prepared yourself to be a good person. So instead of your partner praying, say against the inefficiencies in your life, and you should already prepare yourself that you're going into marriage and you must equip yourself to be the best before you get into marriage, so that at the end of the day, it's not a place where we need to make prayers that ordinarily we would have made all things being equal, but rather we should join forces together, we should join our hands together to pray that God will make us better. I think that's the perspective she spoke about. I wish she was here, then we would have taken the clarification from her. Alright, any other reflection, any other reaction? What we happen to have learned from the sessions that we did that quite earlier? Yes, any other person want to share with us what you were able to learn? Anyone wants to share with us? We just have a few more minutes to do this before we look at the next, next sub-team. Right, we don't have to ask you to come and give us some choruses while we prepare for the next session. Just one or two choruses while we prepare for the next session. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Let's just close this out with prayer. We're going to the message. You call for light out of the darkness.
soul magnify the Lord, and my spirit praise His name. For death could not hold Him captive, that even in the grave, but Jesus is Lord. Even in the grave, my Jesus is Lord. My soul magnify the Lord, and my spirit praise His name. For death could not hold Him captive, and even in the grave, Jesus is Lord. Even in the grave, but Jesus is Lord. Patience of days, our soul as you are, our soul as you are, you will never change. Patience of days, as long as you are, as long as you are, you will never change. Patience of days, as long as you are, as long as you are, but you will never change. Patience of days, as long as you are, as long as you are, you will never change. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the end to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Oh Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Magnify the Lord with me, exalt the name of Jesus. Magnify the Lord with me, exalt the name of God. Magnify the Lord with me, exalt the name of Jesus. Magnify the Lord with me, exalt the name of God. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. So give me that old time religion. Oh, give me that old time religion. Just give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. My Jesus, I love thee. I know the heart is mine for thee, for thee. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And I will enter His gate with thanksgiving in my heart. I will enter His courts with praise. I will say, this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice, for He has made me glad. He has made me glad. He has made me glad. I am so glad. I will rejoice, for He has made me glad. Hallelujah, He has made me glad. I am so glad. I will rejoice, for He has made me glad. Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take Him at His word, and just to rest on His promise, just to know, just say, oh Jesus, 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 how I trust You, how I prove Thee more and more. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, all praise to Christ in all. How am I? Be unto the Lord forever and ever. Amen, 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 amen. Blessings and glory, wisdom, thanksgiving, and honor, power and might be unto the Lord forever and ever. Amen, 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 amen. Blessings and glory, wisdom, thanksgiving, and honor, power and might be unto the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Ba 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 ba. Hashem, Hashem.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And once again, we want to appreciate the organizers of this program, giving us the opportunity to make mistakes and be corrected, ask questions, make contributions to help us grow. And at the same time, we want to appreciate the audience, the patience. We move on to another segment, which is parenting in the 21st century. Parenting in the 21st century, prospects and challenges. By the special grace of God, we have two families, two individuals that will share with us out of the wealth of their own experience. They will teach us, direct us, and prepare us on how to become parents in the future. Join me as I invite and welcome Dr. and Mrs. Ngozi Nwogu. Please, Doctor, you can give them a round of applause and make them feel welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, even though they are not here yet, that Mr. and Mrs. Collins Noah, we shall continue anyways. When we come, we join us. So once again, you're welcome. We're going to read a text from the Bible. It's 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 8. First Samuel chapter 8 from verse 1 through 5. Is it on the screen? Can you help us with that? Oh, they're here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're welcome. No, you have a piece here. First Samuel 8. From verse 1, you're welcome, Pastor. From verse 1 through 5. Now listen attentively, read. Now it came to pass when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel. The name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abijah. They were judges in Beersheba. But his sons did not walk in his ways. They turned aside after dishonest gain, took bribes, and perverted justice. Verse 4. Then all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah. And read verse 5. And said to him, Look, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. All the nations. We've introduced the topic, it's about parenting in the 21st century. Now we have text before. Samuel was a shepherd or priest in Israel who was also a father. He had children, he had family, and you see what happened. His sons did. He contributed to the reasons why the people came to Samuel and asked for a king. Now, there is a quotation from Spiritual Gifts, Volume 4 by Ellen White. It says, "Our efforts must be earnest and persevering to resist the attacks of Satan. He employs his strength and skill in trying to turn us out of the right way. He watches our going out and coming in and intends to hurt or destroy us. He works most successfully in darkness, injuring those who are ignorant of his devices. He could not gain advantage if his method of attack was understood." Now, listen attentively. "The instruments he employs to effect its purpose and transmit his fiery darts are often the members of our own families." Members of our own families, the brother, the sister, the father, the mother, the sons, and the daughters. To this couple, to my right, now, in a nutshell, help us to understand what the concept of parenting entails in the 21st century. What does it entail to parent or to be a parent? The concept of parenting in the 21st century.
Brothers and sisters, I'm not sure we are here. Good evening, brothers and sisters.
Good evening, Mom.
Right, I want to, on behalf of my family, appreciate the organizers of this program. To start with, when we talk about parenting, it's a very big word. A compact word for that matter, in the sense that it goes a long way. How to guide, how to teach, instruct, advise, lay examples, and so on and so forth. And of course, when we talk about this 21st century, I want to say that parents in this generation have a lot to learn. The way I was brought up, I can confidently say that is not the way I am training my children now. Because then, there were so many things that were not in place. But today, we are exposed to a lot of technology, gadgets. We have this network that is working so fast. Let me say children are even ahead of their parents. So what it takes to go through parenting in this 21st century for me is one, learning the ordeal of 21st century in the first place. Two, you have to be where the children are. You don't have to say, I was not brought up this way, so this cannot happen, this cannot happen. So you have to know where they are, you have to understand them, and then possibly you will know how to comment. And then lastly, you have to really be a prayerful parent to deal with 21st century challenges of parenting.
Thank you very much, Mark. You mentioned technological advancement. So, despite technological advancement and the influence of social media, you rightly explained the children are quite exposed to smartphones, gadgets, computers, and so on and so forth. They get lots of information, sometimes even ahead of us now. Despite all the technological advancement, influence of social media, so how do you still maintain the family tie and the connection since you were not brought up with it, you're trying to, you are already bringing up your children? I think the next couple help us with that.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Having identified some of the features of the 21st century that creates the background for parenting, there are quite a number of other factors probably we will get to talk about them. But specifically, talking about how to navigate parenting within the context of what Madam described, technology and all of that. The easy way will be to sanction or to legislate. Don't use this, don't do this, don't do that. But if we want to be realistic and appreciate how common, how saturated the society is with these facilities and gadgets, and how widespread the influence, we discover that the whole approach of just sanctioning or restricting or controlling will not be able to, will not solve the problem, will not stop the teenagers from, or the young people we have from getting entangled or getting involved in these gadgets and these facilities. So the best approach would be to educate them about it. Begin a process of educating them about the positive, the advantages of these facilities, and the real dangers that we are seeing and we are hearing about, and the potential dangers that will come their way as well. And I believe that that kind of dialogue, that kind of interaction between us and them will create an enabling environment which will help us to know exactly to what extent they are involved and how they are involved in some of these things. So we can make corrections and we can also suggest other ways they can benefit from these gadgets.
Thank you. Maybe your wife has something to say. All right. Thank you very much for your beautiful contributions. Now, you know, this man Bill Gates said our parents were not as boring as they are until they started paying our school fees. Now you can imagine that rich man saying, so which means at some point we were, that's in his own opinion, we were quite lively, young lovers, all over the place, young and beautiful people as well, until they started paying our school fees and now they look boring to us at home. So the question to us this evening is, so as parents, how do you still maintain that bond in the family, or is parenting making you lose touch of your own marital life now that you have children? Is it really bringing the couple together, or it's actually making them move further apart as a result of bringing up the children?
Okay, good evening everyone. the reality of life is that when you have children at home, there are some things that you cannot do. Out of the same no public display of affection. There is a level of public display of affection that you will not do with friends of your children, which you used to do when it was just you and your wife. Okay? So that you don't begin to expose the children to pornography without doing it. Because we have, the world we have now, beyond technology, is that the children now think when you count 1, in their mind they are counting 10. And you think they are waiting for you to count 2. But what they are expecting is 12, 15, and so on. So you have to be conscious of that. So, but however, one has to also know sometimes you have to tell yourself, we were together before the children came. So that you don't forget that, this morning, my wife said, okay, it's yesterday. My wife said, very soon all these children will leave the house. Something happened. She said, very soon all these children will leave the house and it will be the two of us alone. And I laughed. You understand? So from time to time, there will be something that will make somebody draw the attention of the other person to the fact that you need to be closer than you are, even though not allow the children be the reason why you stay apart. So it is something that you have to consciously know that you are together with what you can get. And in as much as parenting involves taking care of children and say being boring, let me also talk about that. Being boring is that the reality of life is that the more responsibility you come, the more you think, without meaning that you are thinking. You understand? Now, for a couple that just married, or somebody who is watching, you can say, let's go to DGH for lunch. Or when the children are around, when you have children, and you have to calculate the school fees that is coming up next month. And after doing the calculation, you know that you have to borrow money from back to add up the school fees before you can pay. You don't remember DGH. You understand? So you now, even when the children are talking about, is it not just ice cream, 200, you're telling them there's no money. That's what children talk about being boring, okay? So, and the point is that when the child now comes, you say there is no money, and the child sees the mother counts 5,000 naira to go and buy something from the market to cook food. So you say there is no money, and see all the money that you are counting. So, the realities of life is that the way somebody reasons when you are single and when you just marry before the children changes when the expenses begin to climb. So, but however, it should not also be the reason why you will neglect your partner. If, because of the thinking, one forgets, it's important that the other person reminds themselves that after some time, this thinking will also stop. So, let's go where we are.
Thank you very much, Pastor Bonzo. Axon. This one.
Yes, obviously, there will be changes that are married. That one is for sure. There will be changes after children, when the children start coming. You wouldn't have the kind of convenience that you heard before the children came. But it's also important to ensure that the presence of the children, because it's a reality, they are gone, they are not going anywhere. We must be deliberate in ensuring that we maintain some level of quality in terms of how we relate to each other. Whatever changes the children they are present to bring should not be to the level of being detrimental that will damage the intimacy, the closeness that one is supposed to have with the wife. What thing we can do is not everything that we do with our spouses that requires secrecy. There are some of them that we can easily integrate the children. They can be part of eating together. Can be part of discussion. They are part of devotion. There are so many things that we do ordinarily that we can be part of. Of course, there are some other things they need not be part of. I just noticed also that even from our own children, they appreciate when I have a manual touch. Maybe I'm playing they get to come around, they are attracted to join, to have that play, that kind of atmosphere, and all of that. So all of that is also good for the children to see a level of love, a level of appreciation for their mother or for their daddy. So they learn from it as well, they appreciate it as well. So those are the way we can look at it. But let us not lose sight. The question is not from there. The question is coming from the fact that it is a challenge. It's a challenge really to maintain that balance. And once we are conscious of that challenge, we'll be doing necessary adjustments from time to time to ensure that we don't lose the balance completely.
Thank you very much. And sometime my mom was telling me, and my siblings started to say to her, each time they ask for money, they are not being given. Each time their phones get lost or spoiled, they ask for new ones. They are not being given. But each time I ask for money, I'm being given. That's what my mother told me. And each time I ask for money, which means they are watching. Each time I ask for money, I'm being given. My phone is missing. I ask the next week, my phone is replaced. I want a laptop, and so on and so forth. So my question to you parents, how do you show this love and care to these children? And how do you watch it such that they don't sense favoritism? And what are some of the dangers when children begin to sense that, okay, so he's now your favorite child? Maybe madam, she wants to say something.
Good evening. I think in that aspect, one have to be very careful. Like my mom, so at the point, we divided ourselves. We know those that once they say something, she will do it. For others, have to go through other siblings for those things to be gotten. So it now makes it be like, these ones are mommy and these ones are not seen. But what I see that my husband is that you have said what you want, this one has said our own and mother. So it made them understand that fine, all what people have said really need them. But right now, the thing is so and so person that is need or our need is so pressing. So let's deal with it, and as time goes on, to also do the rest. So everyone is aware that okay, what I'm requesting for, my dad is giving me for so and so person need is very urgent. So we deal with that and we try as much as we can to see that we do what they want. We might not be 100%, but we make sure that at least one or two things are being gotten for others, where you are getting the main thing for one of them.
All right, as it has been established, I want to say that it may never be balanced, but you have to prayerfully do your duties to your children. And I don't want to be misquoted, so let me explain myself. I have 2 boys, or 2 young men, and then, so that you will see me. I have 2 young men, and I have a baby girl. Now, presently, materially, the girl have more than the young men. So sometimes we have to face some realities. But how do I make it up to them? And why? When you buy this baby Ankara or what have you, 6 years, I'm comfortable with 4. And so the remaining 2, she will have it. Like that. But then you have to let them know that this is what is happening. Sometimes you have to weigh things. At a time, the first one was saying, when I was in secondary school, you were giving me 50 naira, and now you are giving this person 100 naira, and now you are giving this person 150. I said, when you were in secondary school, it was 50 naira time. Now it's 100 naira time. You know? And that is the truth, because as at then, 50 naira was worth even more than the 150 now. So sometimes you have to go an extra mile to explain to them. And then at every point, at the stage, my second son had all the clothes because the elder brother was passing everything to him. Passing. This brother is short, bam. This one is short, bam. Until now that they're about the same height. And so I had to deal with buying new clothes for the first son always, while the second one is using sent to me after use. So these are things you have to communicate, and they are realities. Unfortunately, I have just one girl. She passes it down to others outside the house. She doesn't have anybody to pass down to her. A few weeks ago, I got 2 gowns for her from somebody, and she was saying, this is the first time I'm getting clothes from people. Unfortunately, they are not even her size. So you can imagine that. That is talking about material thing. But the thing is, you have to prayerfully deal with it. So the children have their strengths. And sometimes we tap into those strengths and we forget what my first son is good in doing, which is far from my second son. That does not mean he's not doing well. That does not mean he cannot belong or he's not fitting in well. So, know their strengths, know how to communicate with them, and do it prayerfully. And then there is need for a lot of communication, discussion. Carry them along, let them know. Let them know what is happening. So with that, you'll be able to balance it.
Thank you very much. Now, building upon that, now we all know that in a family, not just the immediate family, all fingers are not equal. We know some family members are richer than the others. Now, and we know sometimes death is inevitable. And so some family members die leaving behind their children. And some may still be alive, but still, like we said, all fingers are not equal. Some die leaving their sons, their daughters alive. Now, so how do you manage to attend to the needs of those depending on you without causing any havoc to your immediate family economy? Because in one way or the other, people may want to depend on you, call upon you for assistance here and there. So how do you manage, how do you handle all these challenges, attending to the needs of other family members, looking up to you? We have this big uncle, Dr. Ngozi. If you see him, he's in Babcock University, and so on and so forth. So they think you are swimming. So how do you handle all these challenges without causing any havoc to your immediate family economy?
Okay, in economics, during the secondary school days, they taught us scale of preference. Sometimes, or in fact, all the time, you have to prioritize. There is something that we normally do. January is the time of payment of school fees. So before we travel for the end of the year, we'll pay the children's school fees. Because when you're among family members, there is always stories that touch the heart that you cannot do without doing something. But when you have nothing, there is nothing you can do. Because if you think that the school fees of the children that is to be paid in January is making you to swim in money in December, you will come back and find out that nobody will help you to pay the school fees. Because when you are going to ask somebody to lend you money to pay school fees, the person will be looking at you, is this person serious? In January, how can you be borrowing money? So it's important that we prioritize. I'm not saying that we should not help family members. Those things that you know are essential needs of the family, take care of them first. Then from what is left, you may have 10,000 naira remaining, and the family problem may be 100,000. You understand what I mean? So you can go as much as 10,000 naira. But if you want to be like Mother Teresa, you can borrow money to help solve that problem, and that will be an extra headache. For your immediate family, your children's education is not disrupted. Okay, because many people normally take some things for granted, and it becomes a major issue at home. Like you mentioned, when you are, even though we are in Ogun State, when you go home, they say you're coming from Lagos, and all the cloth that you put inside Ghana must go. They think that it is money that feel that Ghana must go. So everybody is coming with all their needs, okay? And even when you are gone, there will still be phone calls, and people know how to make phone calls. They normally come towards the end of the month, as if they...
What you might describe as a grown child, but you get, I still need help, I still need support. Are you getting it? So, in terms of the age that we are discussing, teenagers, between, from the age of, even though age is not the only basis right now to determine all of that, you know, but from 8, 9, 10, going up to 18 years, there are technicalities about it. But these are the range of adolescents. And the movement, like you said, has always been from childhood to adulthood. That is, if you do the graph, that's where it is. The movement of training children, the aim is to move them from infancy to adulthood. So, and 18 years is generally recognized in Nigeria or even abroad in terms of the age where children can reach, and then we begin to expect the onset of maturity, of adulthood, not the ceiling of it. So that's why I'm bringing out that point that it's important to think in terms of, you know, involvement, in terms of support. So it's a continuous process. Training, growth, you use all those terms. Development, as far as your child is concerned, it's something that we have to be continuously involved as far as time is concerned. Because it will be very difficult to say at 18 years that the child has exhausted all there is as far as development and growth is concerned. So it is important to have that accompaniment, involvement. Even from childhood, it is still about involvement. It is still about following, supporting, until the child gets to the level you are talking about, where he can reason, where he can make decisions. But I also suggest that the fact that one is working may not just be the only criteria we use to determine whether the child is grown or not. There are other dimensions. You mentioned the physical dimension. There's also the psychological dimension. You mentioned the mental dimension. There's also the psychosocial dimension. There's also the social dimension. There is the spiritual dimension, which is very, very important, you know, in ensuring that the child is doing well along the way. So other discussants will also contribute before it comes back again.
Okay. Correcting for a grown child, let me put it that way, is different from parenting a small child. And let me come for a dimension where what we see in the mind of many people. You know, the elders will say that what an older person will see lying on the ground, lying on the ground, not about sitting, lying on the ground, the young person will not see it while standing on top of the Iroko tree. You understand? Most of the time, when we think we are grown, we are graduating from university, we are working, it is assumed that you know everything. But, like I normally tell my students, the teacher was once a student. So the parent was once in that position and can see beyond. Many times, I'm not saying that always, many times this idea of grown comes up when a young person wants to make a decision about marriage and the parents are saying, take it easy, don't go that way. Let me use a story. You know, my brother talked about the different levels of growth, psychosocial and other. There is this story in the village. A young man told the father that he wants to get married. The father said, "Are you sure you want to get married?" He said, "Yes." That time, now, you know, what you used to show maturity, you are able to provide enough food. He has built a mud house like the father's school. The father said, "Okay." The father went and bought a small dog and gave the young man. So he tried it. He will come back, the dog will defecate. He will flog the dog for defecating. And then the father did as if he didn't notice. The years we are going until the dog will stay. After some time, the dog misbehaved. And the young man said, "If not that it is my father that bought you and gave to me, I would have beaten you today." The father called him and said, "Yeah, now you are ready for marriage." I don't know if you got the message. Sometimes we think we know something, but the older person knows that we have not known you. But the difference, let me now go to how the parenting. What will now happen is that because the person is grown, you will not just give instructions that will give to a small child. It will not be a matter of discussing. You now sit down and say, "Wait, let's talk about this thing." You understand? So there is now reasoning, and get to the level of convincing the person this is the better way to go. Sometimes it requires quoting Bible for the person to accept that this is the way to go. Okay, so the way we parent small children, you know, the other time I talked about the fact that you discipline a child, beat a small child. From real life experience, you know, when we were in secondary school, we were still receiving beating. So there was a day that my father beat my elder brother, one like the pastor now, for, you know, he get beaten for misbehaving. So we didn't hear anything. At that time, we were living apart with my mother, from my mother. So he traveled and told my mother, he didn't tell us, and told my mother that he was beating my brother. And that man tried to block himself. So mistakenly his hand hit him. There was a contact of the two hands. And the man received pain from that contact. So my mother now told him that she was related to us later. My mother told him that, see, when these young people are growing, after some time, you don't beat, you talk to them. Don't be beating so that you don't injure yourself. Okay? So, even when you have to beat children, it is children, small children that you beat. As they grow, by that point, inter-secondary school, don't disturb yourself beating. So I don't enter physical fights. It has reached the stage where you stay some distance and do as if you can pull down the house and talk. Here will still be inside them. You understand? Don't begin to beat people who are 15, 16. You may disgrace yourself that way. So there are differences as people grow to begin to change the style. There is a time for spanking. There is a time for just giving instructions and threatening to beat and not beating. Because you know why you are not beating. You know, me now, I'm in a state of threatening to beat. I don't beat. My children usually say, you are not, okay, on the day my son said, "Okay, daddy has never beaten you before." You understand? I remember the day that daddy beat me. I don't beat often. But the thing is, as people grow, you begin to change the style. For example, if you have somebody of 17, you can't come and beat the person physically. Okay? By the time somebody has reached, like I talked about, somebody has graduated, you can't just give instructions. You must do this, you must do this. It's at the level of reasoning. Okay? You start calling it a boy. You start drop, sit down. It's your own child, we have reached the level that we call ourselves brothers in the house. If it's a girl, you start calling your daughter auntie. By the time the girl is 19, 20, you have to talk auntie. Sit down, let's talk about this thing. So that's where the differences are. Okay, we begin to reason, but also know that the foundation is from training up a child. The assumption is that we have done the one we are supposed to do At the mature age, it is now a reminder and discussion that brings that into our consciousness. Even when you are, like Elder said, even when you are mature, last week there was something that we wanted to do. At the point, my wife said, you have not asked your uncle on the price of this. I was doing that thing with my uncle's son, who is also grown up, married with family. And my wife said, this thing that you are doing, I'm not saying it's bad, but you have not even mentioned it to your uncle. Why not talk to him? I said, okay. I called my uncle and said, look at what I'm doing with your son. Look at how far we have gone. See the challenges we are having. And he brought up a completely different dimension, whole conversation. He said, that way is good, but it is also good to check this one and check this and check this. I know that whatever he has done will likely be the right thing, but also confirmed from this angle. At that time, he is correcting me as good as I am over the phone. So I'm not going to ask, this man brought a very good perspective to this thing that I didn't check. We have to do this way. So there is no level that we reach that cannot be corrected. There is no level that we reach that cannot be parented. Okay? But the only thing is that the methodology changes as people grow. From the one of spanking to the one of harassment and threatening to beat and not beat, to getting discussion, and then to giving advice. And what I want to give is advice. You cannot tell me, do this in this way. He only say that. I'm thinking that you may get to consider it this way. Because of the age. Because somebody is doing his own thing and you just asking your advice. It's not compulsory that you take it. So, it's still parenting, but you are not giving it as advice. This thing you want to do is good. And why not look at it from this angle? It is still your son that you are parenting, but you have to accept the fact that it's independent, but you now give it as a suggestion. The person will go and sit down with himself and reflect and say, this thing that my father said is good. Let me follow it this way. So the methodology will change at age. Go.
The second question about whether you allow your child to make mistake or not. Well, for me, as a young mother, it is not intentional to allow the child to make mistake. But the truth of the matter is, when you have gone through all the different stages of parenting, talking, sometimes threatening, at other times discussing, and the child has reached a particular stage of reasoning and said, okay, this is my choice. Sometimes you allow the child to go ahead, for me, and sometimes they can also learn from that angle. The point is this: there is no stage you get to in life that you don't need mentoring, that you don't need advice, especially from people who have gone through that road before you. It might be your parents, it might be other people. Having said that, it is also important for parents to note that children at certain stages are not just children. They have something to contribute to the family. They can also make impact. They can be part of decision making. But give and take, if there is something that you are looking at, you have exhausted all the different styles that you know, you have talked, prayed together, you've counseled, you've done everything, and the child still wants to go ahead. Possibly you can't help much. But like my husband started, that sometimes when a child sees that I know, I've grown, be very careful. Let me give this example. There was a time somebody, one of our children, accumulated as much as close to 60,000 naira in his account, childhood account, and at the stage he saw that 60,000 naira as if is ready to buy a car. So any small thing, I have money now. Any small thing, I have money now. We're talking, this money is not money. Just leave this thing there. So it got to a stage, we couldn't earn it. Was like, I want to buy this from my money. Oh, no problem. Go ahead. I want to buy this from my money. What do you need this one for? I need this thing. Go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, 60,000 naira, as we know, not finished. Not finished. And today, I don't think I need to repeat that experience with him. I think he knows better. That 60,000 naira is nothing. So sometimes you just feel you have arrived, you have gotten something, but then be very careful because sometimes you don't know everything. As much as you are grown, you can think, you can reason, and your parents at a stage can also listen to you. Do you know you can also give your parents advice? Also note that when an elderly person is insisting on something, there may be more to it than you know.
Yeah, another important aspect of your comment, brother, is when you made the point that parenting is about the child. I just want us to balance that, even from a biblical point of view or from a knowledge point of view. Parenting is not just about you. It's not just about the child. It's also about the parent. Because you need to appreciate that your parents are stakeholders. They are stakeholders in that process of parenting. They have needs as well. They have need to be understood by you. They have need to be loved by you. They have need to be respected by you. They have need for your cooperation, for your understanding. They are human beings. They got feelings. They have needs. And of course, you as a child, you have needs. And that's what the tension is all about, from childhood to early adulthood or from up to adulthood. That's what the tension is. It's about the tension of movement from dependence to independence that you talked a lot about. And there are a lot of other dimensions that play out. And that is why we are saying, let's look at this thing from stage to stage and then determine and approximate the level of involvement that is acceptable. The level of involvement of parents at each stage that will be productive and that will help the child to grow. So if you look at it critically, you will see that there is need for a balance there. So it's not just about us as children, it's also not about parents. Those are the extremes. And that's why earlier we talked about the different styles, the different parental styles in approaching the growth process of children. In terms of some, as a result of some of these issues you mentioned, some parents, me, I don't want wahala. They become permissive. They don't do anything apart from emotional support. No discipline, no control. Some others will decide to be completely negligent. They don't want to do anything. I don't want to do that. Anything where they like, make it do. Then another time you have some that they are afraid of consequences and they throw in the sound of authoritarian. No space for the child. No consideration, no realization. They don't care. And then the one that we think is appropriate is the democratic, which creates room for involvement, for consultation, for discussion, for dialogue. Because at the end of the day, it will bring the child to a level of self-discipline, which is actually the expectation of every parent. You want your parent, like you say, you are in Lagos, to do the right thing. And by the way, the aspect of not wanting your child to get involved in any, to do the right thing or not to make mistakes. Yes, not to make. There's no way you can guarantee that behaviorally, because some authors, some writers have said the behavior of an average human being is simply free. The moment you are not there, an average human being can do what you don't expect. I see that in my children. When we are not in the house, when we come back, we see evidence that they did things they wanted to do. And so our responsibility is how to strengthen them behaviorally, attitudinally, psychologically, but more importantly to capitally, spiritually. So that when they are out there, they will know they will understand that it's not just about exercising freedom, it's not just about making choice, but they will get their fingers bumped. And even some of us, even as adults, we still get our fingers fingers pointing. Even when we don't have anybody to talk to, sometimes we keep quiet because we know that people are going to challenge us that I didn't expect that we should get involved in it. So the way that it is, there is no way we can absolutely prevent anybody, from having their fingers on. But the role of parents is to bring about moderation. The role of parents is to help the child as it's growing to have a little bit of foresight that, okay, I'm making this choice, this is where it's going to lead me. And that will help to restrain them when they do the analysis, the synthesis of the choice and the possible outcome. That is what parenting is all about, to ensure that outcomes are not injurious. Because at the end of the day, my brother, we are talking now. We can, if we start right now to look at outcomes of children from various parenting styles, we will see the outcome, and we will see that the outcomes are nothing to be celebrated. And that is why, as we are growing, we must let our parents in. We should recognize where to allow them to play their parental role. Because that movement away from independence of parents to independence is not an easy thing. So it's not easy for parents, it's a process for them. So they need to be managed, they need to be also appreciated. And by so doing, at the end of the day, we will get the kind of result that we're all looking for the children.
There's another question from the audience, but sometimes I feel we need to really appreciate the humility of our parents by even involving us in some of the critical decision-making processes in life. Now, what other corrective measures are there outside physical beating that the parent can employ in making the child understand what he or she is wrong in order to do better? It's from the audience, it's been written, so I have to just read out. Yes. Okay, there's another question. And in fact, we have that question here already. We have that question here. It said, as an intending parent, are there things to do in preparation for parenting now? Our own question says, how do you prepare your children to become parents, not just husbands and wives? So we have that question here. But since you've asked the question also, thank you very much. So someone wants to know, how do you, because I want to know too. So you see someone from the audience wants to know, how do you prepare? I want to become a parent. I don't just want to get married, be in love with my wife. She's in love with me. So how do you just train me to become a parent? Because it seems the way you think, the way you see things, quite advanced than the way you think.
Okay, everything about the family is important in this. The way the family is set up, the way you love your wife, the way you love your husband. But fundamentally, as my brother was bringing up that question, I did a flashback whether anybody deliberately trained me to be a parent. But I want to say, what we're discussing is about experience. It's about something practical. We are not theorizing. I remember that I was born in a family that didn't have too many children. My junior sister came later on. So because of that circumstance, it gave me an opportunity to learn a lot of things. And those things are the things anybody around me will battle with today. You just have to face that. The things I learned because I was playing the role of a male and also a female. In the traditional society, there are some roles that are for women and female, there are some roles that are for male. But because I didn't have many siblings, I had to do so many of them. So I can go to market. If I want to cook, if my mom wants to cook, after she trained me to that point, I can do the list and go to the market and buy those things exactly the way she wants. And the soup, nothing will be missing out, no ingredient will be missing out in the soup. At the point, all the market women are my friends. They got to know me on the road, we breathe. So I know how to, I can cook apple, I can, prepare it very well. I can cook soup for a newly delivered, a woman that just get back. I know how to prepare the soup, the kind of soup. So I learned a lot of things. I with babies, there should be no sand. There should be no sand on it. You know, so I know how to swim symmetrically, line by line, not that the broom will go here and the next one is over there. Then there is a gap. So there are a lot of things that I learned from the family setup. So that's already a preparation. And my family right now is benefiting. My wife can be a witness. We are not theorizing here, telling you speculations or concepts. Talking about these things, I still wash dishes. Alright, right now, I still sweep the house. I still sweep the outside, our environment. You know, there is nothing that I learned at that time that I've thrown away. I said, yeah, now I have a wife, I have children, let them be doing. And by so doing, and I've mentioned mentorship, I am modeling them. They are learning. Even though they may not be able to do it to the level that I'm doing it, but something is entering. We need to appreciate that learning has aspects. There are conscious, there is a conscious learning process. There is also the unconscious. People are not telling you they are learning from you, but they are seeing you, they are being impacted by what you are doing. And that is why it is important that even from our family right now, what are the values we are taking away from our parents? What are the values we are taking away from our mother, from our father? And then the values must be a combination. We learn from our daddy, we learn from our father. In my case, I found myself doing both because there was no one else, you know, that would do it. So it all depends on the family setting you grew up on. But at a level, when we get to level of reasoning, like our brother said, where I began to look for literature, because I actually went out. You see yourself at the point when you have problems. Apart from consulting people, seeking counsel, you can also pick up literatures. There are so many nice literatures about parenting that you can find. So at the point when I started thinking about marriage, I bought some books on commitment. I read some books about love. I read some books about responsibility. I read some books about parenting. In my library, I have books on parenting because I know that the challenge will come, and that I learned a lot from those books. So in addition to what you may have been exposed to from your family background, based on the exposure to knowledge, you want to prove to your parents that you have arrived or that you have learned something more than them. You now need to reflect that additional knowledge in your own family. And that will come in different ways. Maybe the way they dress, the way you provide for their dressing, in the way you get them involved in godliness. Very, very important. There are some of us that live in the family where nobody called us to pray. That's why nobody took you to church. You know, it was just by chance. You know, but we can be more deliberate about this by ensuring that our children are exposed along the positive lines. And that will help them also. We are forming their conscience in the future. These things will not just be bad because they are coming from a background. Just don't forget that it's not easy to be that from a background. No matter the challenges in the society. That is why we must consolidate some values. You know, so that by the time that's what the Bible meant, so that when they grow up, they will not depart. It's because there is a power in terms of what they are exposed to over time.
Another thing I also noticed is that when I was getting married, I don't have any knowledge that my stubbornness and I go my own. But like arranging house, I don't know how to do it. So even fold clothes, to be sincere, is a problem. But I now found out that instead of my husband complaining, the most things that he needs to do them. So as time goes on, I start learning one or two things. So just in case you marry someone that is not expecting or not found in him or her, that's not the time to start fighting or start regretting that, oh, why did I marry this one or why did I do this? You let that person learn the good things that you have. So by so doing, before you know it, all of you might be at the same level.
Okay, so talking about the values that you take from where you are now, it is important that for you to learn how to parent a child, you have to start even from your community where you are now. I either said that you learn to sweep without sand. How do you sweep? And some of us that don't know how to sweep now are maybe the people that want the children to come and learn how to sweep without sand when you cannot even do it yourself. So what I'm saying in other words is that we must be part of the family where we belong. And you have a role as a child now, regardless of your age, to perform in that family, so that even as you grow older, as you bring your own family up, you have learned some things and then you can transfer to them. Somebody told me and said, when I grow up, when I want to wash plates, I will wear hand glove. Yes, one of my children said that she will wear hand glove. By now you know the person. So if you want to wear hand glove to wash plates, what do you want to tell your child? Maybe the child, I don't know what the child, maybe you wear boxing glove. You know, this is 21st century. And what brought about that is that she noticed that, like, mommy, you are always cooking. She enjoys the food though. In fact, I was giving a title, my mom is the best cooker, sometimes ago, English. Wow. But then, she noticed that my hands are always smelling onions and garlic. And she doesn't know how to deal with that. She was like, how will you be smelling onion and garlic? But the taste, you know, comes well. But the onions and garlic in my hand. So she was like, okay, if I have to do it, you have to wear gloves. Ladies and gentlemen, how many plates can you wash with wearing a glove? How many? How many? So it is, you're doing it, you have to be part, you have to participate, you have to do something. A young man some years back said, I play with all children. And they used to come close to me, they play with me, they do everything. But this particular child, if the person is here, he will know himself. This particular child seemed not to mind me, doesn't, I said, I have the password, just come. I gave the person an advice, I said, always keep something that children love close to you. By the time you do it 3 times, that child will come freely. Willingly self, the child will come to you. So what we're saying is that it is not until you get there. Even the children you are seeing now, and the one in your family, the one in the church, the one in your neighborhood, be a big brother, big auntie to somebody. Because it's from there you begin to learn, you begin to see the irrational behavior of human being. That child that you are looking at a distance may not be the best that you think he or she is, but when you come close, then you begin to see some of those experiences. And so when you have these children that are heading in courts, you'll be able to deal with them. For me, I love the very, very stubborn children. I love them. In fact, they are my friends. And to the glory of God, there are testimonies. There are testimonies. So don't think because you always go to church, you always take your children to church, and so you're going to have a perfect family, and then your children will also be perfect. You need to have a taste or know that other type of children, other types of behavior are common, even among your children or even in the neighborhood. So that is the best way I can advise that to learn.
Let me, like they have said, there is no class where they teach parenting. Most of what we do are from observing what is happening. For you to have an advantage about us, we are trained by 20th century parents, and we are parenting in the 21st century. For you are being parented in the 21st century, and you also be parents in the 21st century. So the generational gap will not be so much. Okay? There is a need to also know that even the things you learn from your parents, you will modify when it comes to your children. Because let me give you a very funny example. I can be sitting down now, and my daughter will come and pat me on the head. I say, Daddy. And jokingly, I will say, in my dream, if I saw in the dream when I was small that I was patting my father on the head like this, while he was sitting in the sitting room, I would wake up by force. Because it's a taboo. You know that there is disaster waiting for you to go and just like you pat your father, who born you? How come? You understand? That time with my father, he was a banker. When he is driving and returning, they are outside playing. We will run inside and stay and open door. They greet him, he has returned. when he's about to now go outside and play. That was the time. But now, when you are returning, the children will come and roll your head. So they will jump up. You know? So just imagine let's picture himself telling his father, jump up. You will receive slap now. How can you disrespect your father by saying jump up or do high five? So you also know that some of the things that you are seeing now, in the next 10 years will expire. So you also adjust to what is in growth. So most of what we learn from parenting, most of what the parenting is from observing others, but you also have to see the trend. And when things have changed, you also change with the trend. Okay? And you also be able to speak the language. Okay? You know, now somebody said, let me bust your head. The first time the student was in class. But Nancy was okay, let me bust your head now. I was like, the first student but I was like, don't the student about busting his head. Now when we just told it now, so okay, let me surprise. That was the first time I asked. Okay. So that's also the way you be. In the next 10 years when you are parents, next 15 years, you also start hearing some words that will come up. So you adjust to it. So that is the reality of life. Nobody is going to sit you down and begin to teach you how to parent. You parent from what you observe, and as the time goes on, you adjust with the time. If you say, this was, I want to do it the way my mother did it, you will fail. If you say, I want to do it the way my father did it, you will fail. Let me give you an example. Many of you, by the time, you know there was a time that if somebody wanted to travel, they say, no, don't travel. Okay? Don't travel out. But many people will end up that you live in another country, your children live in another country. Your parents will not be over the phone. And maybe once in 3 years they come and visit. Okay? So the idea of every month come and visit, like if somebody is staying in Lagos, will not happen. So we just have to know that at every stage we have to make adjustments and deal with that.
Thank you very much. It has been a wonderful session. Gradually we are rounding up. At this moment, we will listen to our panelists make the final statements and donations.
Now, where I really want to show concern is about when someone said that he or she is grown, so advices are no longer relevant. I think we should also reconsider such thoughts, because a parent that trained you from your birth to secondary, primary, secondary, university, and now in our level you are okay on your own, and you think that such advices, the advices are no longer relevant. Such thoughts we should remove from our mind, because we used to do it, I also did it, but later I now realize that their wisdom is always greater than our own. I've made some mistakes that when my mom will be correcting me, I will say, this mom, she does not know anything and all that. But when some things happen, I'll still go back to her. She now said, actually, this one. So I now begin to learn from her. So I see that her wisdom is more than my own. I might be a graduate, she did not go to school, but the knowledge that she has is even more than me that I went to school. So when our parents are telling us, do it this way, do it that way, we should also respect them. And we should also remember that they really suffer. For somebody to train one, like when my mom finished with her last born, she was so happy that, thank God, all of you have finished your school, at least 8 graduates. It's not an easy thing. So it's not after that we now be saying that this mother or this father, they don't know what they are doing. All that, we are in their shoes, that we are treating our own children. So when we now keep understanding or love or care from them, they are now taking all those things, which will feel bad. So we should also try to respect our parents and to show them some love.
All right. As we round up, it is important for us to appreciate the value of this discussion. because it's preparing us for the future, and also helping those of us that are parenting already to know some gaps in what we are doing. One thing I think we should have in mind as we round up is the value, the importance of noting generational gap. In trying to parent, trying to grow our children, let us understand that they are not having the same consciousness with us. The environmental dynamics have changed. They are not the same with the one that you grew up in. And so if you are going to apply hook, line, and sinker, everything that you got from your own generation, you are going to lose them. Like that brother was saying, you are going to miss the mark. And that is very important that as future parents, as present parents, let us note the importance of this generational gap. Changes that have come to be. Earlier we mentioned technology, we mentioned the availability of multiple channels of communication and the impact they have. Even when we deny them access, they can get it from their friends, they can get it from other sources. So we need to take note of all those dimensions and ensure that we don't censure them. Rather, we should bring them close, educate them about the advantages of those. Let us also take note of the typical experience of a teenager in their stage, what they are going through. Basically, they are searching for their identity within the age bracket that they are. One of their basic needs is the search for identity. They want to know who they are. They are asking those questions they may not ask you, but they are asking them internally, they are asking them behaviorally and attitudinally by the way they are behaving. Some of those things we see as bad behavior are really a manifestation of some of these considerations. So when we have that understanding that these very children at this stage, they are undergoing a process, it will help us to show the right kind of understanding. It will help us to recognize that what is important is not to close the door, not to shut them down, but to create an avenue for further involvement, continuous involvement as they are progressing from one stage to the other. And then finally, as a word of encouragement, whatever else we might be doing or we may want to do as parents, let us not lose sight of godliness. Let us not forget to train them in God's commandment, in doing the will of God and in doing the will of God. Because that is what will cement all other values that we are trying to put across to them. And when they now leave our ambient and find themselves in other locations, in other environments, they will not succumb. They will not be victims of societal pressure or peer pressure. They will remember those values that we have exposed them to, and they will represent themselves well, represent you well as their parents, and they will be a source of honor to God. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I want to say that who you are, your beliefs, your morals, your standard, your philosophy, your thinking, your reasoning goes a long way to how you parent children around you, maybe your own children or other people's children. And secondly, I also want to say that let's take advantage of the environment. I have seen a few of us, we are not very friendly with the children. We don't even know how to deal with them, we cannot accommodate them. Some people cannot stay in children's department for 30 minutes. And that is what you have to deal with sooner or later. God bless you if there are 2 or 3 at a time. Then you will know that even the daycare they are working, maybe you should even pay them more. So let's take advantage of the community now and get close to children. Let's see how we can impact them. Let's see how we can improve them. Let's see how we can add a little to what they are even getting from home. And that will also help. May the Lord help us in Jesus' name.
Amen. Okay, now they have said practically everything. I'll just mention this. My wife had this saying that growing up, that the mother used to say, that thing that I did not do well, you will soon do it. Okay? Parenting is an experience that we face. Sometimes the things that you thought your parents didn't do well, you now see yourself doing exactly that thing that when they were doing it to you, you thought they were not doing well. So some of the things that you, why I'm saying that is, now that you are being parented, try to respond to be receptive of parenting. Because sooner than later, you will start doing the same things and you'll be expecting your children to accept them. It is a very funny thing, but it's a reality of life. Like they said before, the marriage is a school that you enter and you don't come out. Parenting is technically the same thing. It is when you begin to see the challenges of parenting that you understand why some people go to school, get married, and agree, we don't want to have we don't want to have any child. They just enjoy themselves and be doing honeymoon all their life, they traveling around the world. It is only when you have children, like we have bread, and that is the limit that we ever have gone. So, but my parents had 7. My wife, they were 10. So, it is now that we have 3, and every time I'm complaining to them there's no money. But my parents had 7. And because he was a banker, when he said there was no money, he said this man always like, he's too stingy. You understand? But it is now that I'm beginning to see what, that they even did extraordinary back. I don't think, if I have 7 million, I'm not running mad. So it is only when you start doing parenting that you understand what it means to be a parent. You understand? So, for now, you can, like children, my wife said, don't like children. You may love children and you want to have 10. And want to have 12 children around you. It's only when you have 4, 5, and you're able to cope that you know whether you want to continue the journey of 10. Okay? So, let us appreciate those who are parenting us now. Because when we also make the same parenting things to others, we accept them to accept them. God will help us to succeed in all that we do.
I want to say parenting is leadership, parenting is mentorship. Originally, parents are supposed to have the ultimate influence upon the children, not necessarily my biological parents, elderly people in the community. So please, some of you are afraid of elderly people in the community, so they may not necessarily be your biological parents. Be bold, confident, pick up courage, come closer to elderly people, even if they're not your biological parents. They can learn something from them. Please, elder, pray for us.
Let's pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for the discussions that we have had this evening on parenting. We have been able to share ideas, experiences. We ask the Lord that your Spirit will interpret it to each and every one of us more than we have been able to do as humans. We pray that our discussions will positively impact on your younger children who are getting ready to become parents. Father, as we grow, all of us are being parented in one way, being mentored in one way. We ask that your Spirit will guide us to be accepting of good advice and to implement them in our lives so that we can be better from day to day. As we continue with other aspects of our program, we ask that you take it out control and make the start of this program a blessing to everyone. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.